Woman was God's second mistake. This single sentence by Nietzsche lands like a punch to the soul. It does more than provoke, it scars. Like a stone thrown into the still waters of modern thought, it sends shockwaves outward, disturbing many and offending countless others. It appears as unmistakable evidence of deep-rooted misogyny. But long before Nietzsche ever voiced such a brutal idea, the man who taught him how to stare directly into the abyss of existence had already constructed the philosophical foundations of this darkness. That man was Arthur Schopenhauer. Welcome to the inner mirror. Today we begin one of the most difficult and perhaps most necessary journeys of all. We enter the mind of one of history's bleakest, sharpest, and brutally honest philosophers. Our goal is to understand one of his most infamous beliefs, what Schopenhauer thought about women. Let me be clear, this will not be comfortable. Schopenhauer's words are not warm, they are cold, they sting. He has rightly been labeled a misogynist, and perhaps he truly was, but we will not stop at easy labels. As with all serious philosophy, we ask harder questions. What did he actually mean? Why did he think this way? And perhaps more disturbingly, could there be uncomfortable truths hidden beneath the bitterness, truths we avoid by simply calling it hatred? We are not here to defend Schopenhauer. We are here to attempt something harder, to understand him, and to explore his worldview not as mere hatred, but as the grim diagnosis of a man who believed he had discovered a fundamental sickness at the root of human existence. And to do that, we must also look inward. We must ask whether even his cruelest words reflect feelings we ourselves have sensed, but never dared to say aloud. To understand why Schopenhauer spoke about women the way he did, we must first understand the core of his entire philosophy. Schopenhauer did not see the universe as divine, peaceful, or rational. He believed reality is ruled by a blind, purposeless force, a force without logic, mercy, or final goal, a force that only seeks to exist, expand, and endlessly repeat itself through birth, suffering, and death. He called this force the will to life. Everything we see, animals, humans, nature, is merely the surface appearance of this deeper will. And we are not truly free. We do not choose with reason. We are not autonomous minds. We are puppets pulled by invisible strings. Our passions, dreams, and obsessions are not truly ours. They are tools the will uses to perpetuate itself. The will has only one aim: preserve life at any cost. And for Schopenhauer, the life we are trapped in is suffering itself. He wrote, "Life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom. We suffer when we lack what we desire, but even when we obtain it, satisfaction lasts only a moment. Soon emptiness returns, then restlessness, then new desire. The cycle begins again. We are like beggars who find food today, only to be starving again tomorrow. Happiness is a mirage in an endless desert of suffering." Through this merciless lens, Schopenhauer looks at humanity, and here he makes a crucial distinction. Men and women are not simply two versions of the same human being. They are two different instruments used by the will to achieve biological goals. In his essay on women, Schopenhauer makes statements that are undeniably painful. He claims women lack strong logical capacity, are governed by short-term instincts, possess weaker abstract morality, and are more inclined toward deception. These are harsh assertions, but in his mind they are not insults. They arise from his metaphysical system. To Schopenhauer, woman represents the purest embodiment of the will to life. She is the guardian of the species. Her instincts, mind, and entire being are shaped by nature toward one overwhelming purpose: biological continuation. When he says women live in the present, he does not mean stupidity. He means their role is rooted in immediate life maintenance, child care, protection, household stability, survival. Her genius lies not in abstraction, but in instinct. Her mind is anchored to tangible reality. Because her mission is grounded in life itself, she cannot drift into lofty metaphysics. She does not pursue truth or beauty in the philosophical sense. She pursues safety and continuity for herself and her children. Schopenhauer insists this is not moral judgment, it is biological function. Man, however, occupies a different position. He is, in Schopenhauer's view, a more tragic being, a being with rare access to rebellion against the will. While woman is designed to serve the species, man alone possesses limited capacity to step outside biology. He can sacrifice comfort, pleasure, even life itself for things with no survival value. Honor, ideas, art, truth. He may die for an abstract concept. He may spend decades building a cathedral he will never see completed. He may obsess over mathematics, paint hallucinations, or compose symphonies no one asked for. In moments of art, science, and self-sacrifice, Schopenhauer says, man betrays the will. He is no longer serving nature. He is serving something higher. Timeless ideals. Truth, the refusal to obey instinct. Here lies the root of Schopenhauer's bitterness. Woman symbolizes affirmation of life, and to Schopenhauer, life is not a gift, it is a curse. In man's creative madness, he sees the rare chance to say no to life. Woman is the practical consciousness of the species. The most transcendent man is sacred madness. His worldview becomes even harsher when applied to love. To Schopenhauer, romantic love is nature's cruelest trick, its most elegant deception. In the metaphysics of sexual love, he argues, when a man falls deeply in love, he is not choosing. The species is choosing through him. All the poetry of romance, soulmates, destiny, divine connection, is biological costume. Men are drawn to youth, health, symmetry, not for beauty, but because these signal reproductive potential. Women are drawn to strength, intelligence, status, and security, because these promise protection during vulnerability. Thus, what we call love is genetic strategy. Passion is a mirage. Once reproduction is secured, passion fades, love turns into transaction. And here Schopenhauer's ideas become uncomfortably familiar. He claims women, instinctively, know that their power over men lies in the sexual desire they awaken. They deploy charm, sweetness, seduction, even performed fragility as biological weapons. He writes, a woman who marries for love secures lifelong provision. A man who marries for love signs a blank check to the species. Brutal, possibly exaggerated, but pause before dismissing it. Have we never seen gifted men abandon their life trajectory because of overwhelming infatuation? Have we never seen marriages transform from romance into logistical survival partnerships? Schopenhauer gave a name to this sensation, being trapped. A beautiful trap whose true purpose becomes visible only with time. To truly grasp this philosophy, we must examine Schopenhauer's own life. Ideas do not arise from nothing. They grow from experience, from temperament, from pain. Schopenhauer's philosophy is pain transformed into theory, and it begins with the most powerful woman in his life, his mother, Johanna Schopenhauer. She was brilliant, a successful novelist, a social celebrity. After her husband's probable suicide, she moved to Weimar and ran one of Germany's most prestigious literary salons. Independent, charismatic, worldly. To Arthur, she was cold, distant, emotionally unavailable. Their relationship was perpetual war. She viewed him as gloomy and arrogant. He viewed her as shallow and vain. Their letters overflow with contempt. When Schopenhauer describes women as lacking objectivity, obsessed with the personal and full of vanity, it is impossible not to see Johanna's shadow. His misogyny was not purely theoretical. It was the wound of a son who never felt loved, hardened into doctrine, expanded from one woman to half of humanity. Understanding this does not excuse him, but it gives tragic depth. Behind the philosophical monster stands a wounded man. Schopenhauer did not merely hate women. At a deeper level, he feared them, because he saw them as the will's most efficient agents, subtle, irrational, irresistible. A man may construct logical systems, practice ascetic discipline, pursue enlightenment. But then appears beauty, the promise of pleasure, and reason collapses. The philosopher becomes an animal again. Woman's power, in Schopenhauer's eyes, is not physical, it is erotic. The power to pull even the strongest man off his path, to make him trade his highest values for momentary pleasure. She is the smiling face of the biological prison, and he, who devoted his life to escaping that prison, saw in her its most powerful god. Strip away the rage. What remains is a strategic warning. Do not trust a desire blindly. Do not mistake intensity for truth. Look beyond beauty and fantasy. Ask yourself, is this truly my will, or is the species speaking through me? Is a blind force using me as a pawn? This is not a call to reject love. It is a call to enter love with eyes open. You contain two beings, the individual seeking meaning, the animal programmed to reproduce. Wisdom is not denying the animal. It is preventing it from driving. A man who knows his mission can love deeply, but from fullness, not from lack. He invites a woman into his world. He does not abandon his world to live in hers. His worth comes from integrity, not validation. Schopenhauer's philosophy is a bitter medicine, but sometimes bitter medicine treats deep disease. You do not need to accept his final conclusion that life must be denied, but you should hear his warning. Build such a strong center, such a clear mission, such unshakable self-respect, that no storm of passion can derail you. If you reach this point, you have demonstrated rare curiosity and psychological stamina. Share your thoughts respectfully. Have you felt tension between purpose and romance? Have you sensed that love sometimes hides practical motives? Your experiences matter, and if you completed this journey, write "will" in the comments. A quiet signal among those unafraid to explore darkness in search of light. Until next time, guard your center. Yeah. And yet, even this is not the deepest layer of Schopenhauer's abyss. Beneath his criticism of women, beneath his distrust of love, beneath even his hatred of life itself, lies something more primitive. Disappointment. Not disappointment with society, not disappointment with others, but disappointment with existence. Schopenhauer did not look at the world and see a broken paradise. He looked at it and saw a system that had never been good to begin with, a machine that consumes, a mechanism that feeds on desire, a cycle that manufactures hope only so it can harvest suffering. From this perspective, every birth is not a blessing. It is a sentence. To be born is to be drafted into a war you never agreed to fight. You did not ask to want. You did not ask to fear. You did not ask to crave meaning. Yet you wake each day burdened by all three. This is why Schopenhauer valued silence more than celebration, solitude more than companionship, stillness more than achievement, while the world screams, "Become more, have more, experience more." Schopenhauer whispers, "Want less," because every new desire is a new wound waiting to happen. The man who wants nothing cannot be enslaved. The man who expects nothing cannot be disappointed. The man who asks nothing from life cannot be betrayed by it. This is not optimism. It is strategic retreat. To Schopenhauer, the highest form of intelligence is not ambition. It is detachment, not the cold detachment of apathy, but the disciplined detachment of someone who understands the game and chooses not to play. He admired monks, ascetics, hermits, not because they were holy, but because they were practical. They had identified the root problem, desire, and instead of endlessly satisfying it, they attempted to starve it. In modern language, Schopenhauer's message sounds alien. We live in an age that worships desire. Follow your passion. Chase your dreams, indulge yourself. He would call this mass hypnosis, an entire civilization sprinting deeper into its own cage. Because if desire creates suffering, then a society that maximizes desire maximizes suffering, but calls it freedom. This is why Schopenhauer's philosophy feels so hostile. It does not flatter you. It does not tell you that you are special. It does not tell you that the universe cares. It does not tell you that everything happens for a reason. It tells you something far more unsettling. Nothing is obligated to make sense. Nothing is obligated to be fair. Nothing is obligated to justify itself to you. Existence does not owe you happiness. And once you accept this, a strange calm appears, not joy, not excitement, but calm. The calm of no longer negotiating with reality, the calm of no longer begging the universe to be kind, the calm of finally standing on solid ground. Schopenhauer did not believe salvation comes from improving the world. He believed salvation comes from seeing through it, seeing through its promises, seeing through its illusions, seeing through the seductive stories it tells about love, success, and fulfillment. Not everyone can do this. Most people are too invested, too entangled, too intoxicated, because illusions are comfortable. Truth is abrasive. Illusions say, you are going to be happy. Truth says, you are going to be happy. Truth says, you are going to suffer, but you can choose how consciously you suffer. You can suffer blindly, or you can suffer with understanding. Schopenhauer believed understanding is the only form of dignity available to humans. Not victory, not happiness, not legacy, understanding. And this returns us to the mirror. The image of the man staring at himself while holding a book. The mirror is not asking, who do you want to be? It is asking, who are you really? Not the mask, not the role, not the persona you display to survive, but the organism underneath. The wanting creature, the fearing creature, the aging creature, the dying creature, the dying creature. Most people avoid this confrontation their entire lives. They drown it in noise, entertainment, relationships, ambition, addiction, anything to avoid sitting alone in a dark room with themselves, because in silence the truth becomes audible, and the truth is uncomfortable. Schopenhauer would tell you, if you can sit alone, with no distraction, with no stimulation, with no validation, and still remain sane, you have already surpassed most of humanity. Because you are no longer running, you are no longer bargaining, you are no longer pretending, you are simply aware. And awareness is dangerous. It dissolves illusions, it erodes fantasies, it dismantles comforting lies. But it also grants something rare, sovereignty. You may not control the universe, but you can control your participation in its illusions. You may not stop suffering, but you can stop multiplying it unnecessarily. You may not escape death, but you can refuse to spend your life in denial of it. This is the quiet core of Schopenhauer's message. Do not chase happiness. Chase clarity. Do not chase love. Chase understanding. Do not chase meaning. Chase lucidity, because meaning can be fabricated, love can deceive, happiness can evaporate, but clarity remains. Clarity sees what is, not what is wished, not what is promised, not what is marketed, only what is marketed, only what is. And in a universe built on blind forces, seeing clearly is the closest thing to power you will ever possess.